Hey there, guys. It's Mateo again. I am the Guild Master of Passing and Gaming. This is another video that I'm going to do. As yesterday's video is still being edited, that was the 2-hour-long summon session with all of the ML refunds. So that'll be coming up on my channel probably by the end of the day or tomorrow morning. There's a lot of things I'm going to edit. The person I usually have editing is busy right now, so I'm gonna have to do that stuff myself. So I'm learning, right? So for what I want to do here is Covenant summons. I have 300 bookmarks here. I just bought them, and I'm gonna get right into that. And then I'm gonna go through the Q&A from Twitch yesterday. I said I would answer a lot of questions. I wrote them down, and I want to extrapolate. There were some things I touched on in my last video that I really didn't get into a lot of detail on, and I want to get into that today. So, here we go. Off to a good start. All right. Fighter Maya. Now, this is just, for my own amusement. I know they added MLs in here, so I just kind of want to get a gauge for myself. I know it's an incredibly small sample size, 300 bookmarks, but I like pulling. You like watching pulling. So here we go. L's Fist. So I'm 100% expecting to get 100 Aethers out of here. So, not high hopes, but I thought I'd humor people. Somebody said they got, I think I saw an ML Ball and Ruel of Light come out of Daily Covenant Summon, so I was like, what the heck. Maybe I, too, can win the lottery. Ooh. There we go. Here's something. What artifact could you be? Durandal. French. I do want a second one. I want a second one of those. I have one on my Assassin Cartusia, whatever. And I do want a second one. I don't know who I put it on. One of the ML 5 stars that I don't have, which is all of them. Probably, maybe not Dark Corvus, because I probably put Strat Gauntlet on Dark Corvus if I got them. But maybe ML Ravi would probably be a good Durandal candidate, because she doesn't have the CR boost as normal Ravi has. You just trade that, that counter immunity set over, but then you put Durandal on her instead of Seed or Strat Gauntlet, and I think that's what's probably going to be my go-to for Ravi, if I get one. We are lighting up again, ladies and gentlemen. Dingo. The man that just wants to keep giving you gold for your ice, for your shaved ice. Oh, here we go again. Another artifact. Biblio Y. Etika Scepter. I actually need a limit break for this. To max limit break my Etika Scepter, so that's pretty good. It's a good pull so far. And just remember, this is out of the Covenant, the General Pool Covenant summons. That is what I am doing right here. So I already gotten 2 5-star artifacts and a couple of 4-star dupes for memory imprints. And I've only done maybe 20-ish pulls so far, so it's pretty good. Come on. Come on. We've been to the mountaintop. We saw the 5-star artifacts, but can we get all the way to the peak? Can we look over to the other side of the peak and find us some 5-star units? Here we go. Let's go, Covenant Summon. Another Maya, which I almost said Fire Maya, but that is exactly what he's going to be fed into. Wanda. Proof that the MLs do exist in here. Oath Key. Oath Key, Oath Key, Oath Key. If you don't have one of these built, you need to have one of these built. Assassin Cartusia, Moonlight Dreamblade, so that's Violet, Arbiter Vildred. You need to have one of these. It is absolutely imperative. You don't want to be losing or throwing a match. Let's say you're doing a one-turn cleave with Oxlots and let's say Bloodblade Karen or Judge Kisei, and you don't want to miss an Arbiter Vildred and give him the attack buff, right? So they're nerfing Arbiter Vildred, removing the attack buff when he resurrects. But if you hit him and give him the attack buff for Moonlight Dreamblade anyway, it's like he was never nerfed, and you get wrecked. So have an Oath Key. If you don't have one of these, max limit break, broken, and it's in your inventory, keep those. Do not sell those. Don't turn them into powder. Keep them. And if you don't know what it does, it increases your chance to hit or lowers your chance to miss. And it is coincidentally the same 20% that Moonlight Dreamblade is, and is 5% higher than Assassin Cartusia's S2 passive. Right? So you're not going to miss on turn 1. And you're not going to miss a thief that has Moonlight Dreamblade equipped if you're using Oath Key. Now, yeah, both of those units can be in the same party together. Arbiter Vildred tends to be next to Assassin Cartouche in a lot of compositions in High Champion and Legend. But what would you rather have? You know, a 15% chance to miss or a 35% chance to miss? And in that case, missing equals you die. So, you know, do you want a 15% chance to lose or a 35% chance to lose? And, you know, that's regardless of whether you're doing one-turn cleave or not. You really don't want to take those risks if you don't have to. You want your offense to be as safe as possible. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Rose. Rosaria Dart. Another shiny. Clarissa. Like I said, I wasn't hoping for much, so I am already. This is already exceeding my expectations for, you know, just the 300 bookmarks here on Covenant Summon this morning. Another L's Fist. The Infinity Gauntlet. Rosa Argana. Magahara's Tome. I'll take dupes all day, ladies and gentlemen. I will take dupes all day. Gunther. My man, Gunther. As I said before, Smilegate, where are the Gunther buffs at? All right. Okay. Well, let's see. Here we go. Here we go. Sigrid.
I'll do whatever I can to assist you in achieving your goals.
And that is my first Sigrid. Oh, here we go. Another Magaraha's toad. I'm telling you, this is more Alexas than I got in the Mystic Summons yesterday. Yep, here we go. Shuri. I do need that in print. And there you have it. So 300 Covenant bookmarks into the normal off-banner summon. And what do we get? We got one 5-star unit. What is it? 2 or 3 5-star artifacts and a ton of 4-star dupes. So this was wildly exceeding my expectations. It's pretty good. Now, obviously, if you're free to play, you're saving your Sky Stones for a limited banner or something. I don't recommend doing this. This is just my own amusement. I just wanted to see what we get, and we did see a Wanda, right? So there are ML units are in there, and you know it's a toss the coin. It's a flip of the card, right? So this was good. This was a pretty good summoning session, I would say, and so let's hop right into the Q&A. So I'm gonna pull this up. Got a little sticky notes here, and we'll cover Crozet because I'm never picking him up at the connected table. And so let's get into it. So these are some questions I was asked yesterday, and I said I kind of touched on it a little bit, and then I said I would extrapolate later at a different date on a different video, whatnot. So here we go. So the first question I got was, are you going to recall your Crimson Armor? And the answer to that is no, but why? All right. So a lot of the arguments I'm hearing are in favor of recalling Crimson Armor is, okay, well, I need another unit, right? So typically that's going to be off slots, right? Or Challenger Dominion, right? So I see that and I hear that a lot. Also, another one that I get is, well, the nerf was really big. You know, 1 turn less on immunity, 15% damage reduction nerf on her S2. Okay, so my answer to that is a question, and it's nerf compared to what? Compared to who? So if you're going to run a single knight, right? So you're going to run a single knight, and it's Carmen right now. You're getting 2 artifacts in one. You're running Aureus because you are going to be running Aureus on a single knight in assault comp to deter cleave, keep your team healthy, keep them alive, get the defensive benefits. So you're going to be running the Aureus anyway, and Carmen comes equipped passively with Adamant Shield, with a 1% less Adamant Shield. It's going to be 15 versus 16%. So it's 2 artifacts in one. Now, in your typical 2-knight setup, so something like Carmen and Fallen Cecilia, or Crimson Armin and Crow, right? Now you have 3 artifacts, because remember, Carmen has the S2 her pass, so she has Adamant Shield built in. So now you have room for that Elbrus that can ruin 1-turn Cleaver's Day, right? You have a Judge Kisei or a Bloodblade Karen hit your team, and they're getting ready to do the extra attack, but no, all of a sudden your Fallen Cecilia procs her Elbrus or a counter set and provokes that DPS, and it just completely ruins the rest of their cleave, and you win the match, right? And that's that's not 100%, right? It's 20%, 20%. It was compounded to multiplicatively. It's 36% chance of happening. That's really high. That's 1% higher than missing Arbor Vildred with Assassin Cartouche in the group on a 1-turn cleave. That's higher. And then on top of that, you're running a tanky stall team, so all 4 of you are going to be alive anyway after that. So you're going to have a pretty high chance of beating those teams if they even play into you, right? So the question is, well, it's not that she was nerfed or not. It's what are you going to replace her with? And I hear people saying, okay, well, I'm going to run Double Knight, but not Carmen, and then I'm going to have my Aureus, and then I'm going to run Adamant Shield. Okay, well, now you've lost Elbrus. Is the 1% nerf, is the 1% from her S2 passive to Adamant Shield worth losing an entire artifact, losing Elbrus? Yes, no, maybe. The 1-turn invincibility still forces the enemy team that's attacking you to deal with it, and that's either going to be through killing you beforehand, which that's gear related. That's a binary. You either have the gear to stop that or you don't, and dispelling you. And again, that's a gear issue, because if your ER is high enough, then they can't. Right? Some low effectiveness Dizzy with Violin, and you have really high effect resistance, that's going to be a no, and you get a free turn 1 and turn 2 essentially, right? So that's still there. So the thought that losing a turn on the immunity on defense is really what's going to tip the favor and change your defensive win rate and lower it so much. Yeah, maybe. But the question isn't, is she nerfed? The question is, nerfed compared to what? And for me personally, I don't see numerically, mathematically, looking at the multipliers, looking at a kit, another knight going into that slot and stalling the way that Carmen does. Plus giving you Elbrus on a 2-knight comp, and giving you both Adamant Shield and Aureus on a 1-knight comp. There is not another knight you can put there that is going to be as effective, besides maybe Fallen Cecilia, depending on who is how tanky your Fallen Cecilia is, right? Because the initial barrier strength can equal the damage reduction based on the DPS of the team fighting you and how much HP your Fallen Cecilia has, right? But that's an inflection point. And you can do that math yourself to find where that inflection point is. Okay, my Fallen Cecilia needs to have 28k HP to survive so-and-so's attack versus having Carmen there, right? You can make that math based on your own team and the people that are attacking you and whatever division you happen to be in here in Arena. So for me, okay, maybe Carmen goes from not being number 1 tank, she's the number 2 tank, but that's still Carmen and Fallen Cecilia anyway. So nothing really changes. You're not going to not see her there sitting next to Fallen Cecilia in people's arena defense. That's not going to change. At least not at the top anyway. There's a lot of people that may knee-jerk change her. There's some people that your team may be incomplete, right? So you have a solid defense already. Maybe you have a classic defense that I ran prior to getting my own Crimson Armin and to season 2 starting, which is let's say you let's say you get Crawl, something like Crawl, Angelica, and then 2 other, like a Bruiser, like a Ken or something, and another healer like a Shooting Star Akatas or a Deanne or something like that. And you put all those together, right? So think about that for a second. You might have that team already, and that's giving you enough defensive win rate in whatever division you're in. And so, but you're missing offense. Like every time you fight somebody, it takes 10 minutes because your defense is your offense, right? So you don't have offensive units. You don't have an Oxlot. You don't have a one-turn cleaver. You weren't around for Guilty Gear Collapse, so you don't have Dizzy. You don't have a good violin candidate. For whatever reason, you don't have Ferrado. Then sure, trade the Carmen in. Go for it. Absolutely go for it. Let's say you're gonna get 10% tankier, 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever the number is, tankier by swapping the Crowd of Carmen or just adding the Carmen, pulling out a Bruiser, versus your offense win rate going from 50% 10-minute long matches to 90% and 30-second long matches, because now you have the Oxlots, and now you can Oxlots into your Vildred or into your Bloodblade Karen or into your Judge Kisei or your Biken, or let's say, well, whatever, you weren't around for Guilty Gear Collapse, so you don't have Biken, or whatever you have, right? So now you get to do that, and now you're having a better time. You're climbing higher. Now, eventually you will need that Carmen, but again, eventually you will need that Oxlots as well. So at that point, I would say, yeah, that's a good trade-off. That's going to be a pretty good trade-off for you. But that's literally the only fringe scenario I can see where I would recall my Carmen. If it's about tankability, right? What knight you're going to have, what artifact in your team, that is not what you're recalling Carmen for, because she is still in the top 2. There is not another knight that can serve you as well as that, right? There is no analog to that. There really isn't. Next question. What do I think about the nerfs to the ML units? I think some of them don't matter in the scope of PvP. I think some of them do matter in the scope of PvP. So the biggest one for me is Arbiter Vildred, right? So Arbiter Vildred is losing the attack buff on his S2, his passive. He revives, he automatically gets attack buff. He tells you, can you hear the impending ruin? Your team dies, right? Or at least they're blinded. If your team's taking enough to survive, they're blinded. He's alive. He's at full health. He has an attack buff because the last 2 turns, right? So that's a problem. So them getting rid of that, I don't think it's going to remove him from defense, because he can still pull off the same shenanigans. Let's say you're bringing in your Oxlots, your Bloodblade Karen, your Judge Kisei or whatever, and you're going to one-turn cleave this team. He is Assassin Cartouches, Arbiter Vildred, he has Moonlight Dreamblade. If you miss him, right, because of the evasion, he's still going to one-shot your team, because you're not. It's not a tanky team. Your one-turn cleave team is not a tanky cleave. It's not a tanky team. So he's still going to destroy you in that regard. What you won't have to do is kill him twice if you don't want to, because he won't res. He will not resurrect with the attack buff, right? So he's relatively declawed in that sense, but if you miss him, he's still the same Arbiter Vildred, and so it's going to be a wash. I think it's going to be kind of a 50-50. You're going to see some declination in usage as people think, oh, well, without the attack buff, he can't possibly ruin the enemy's team, and they're going to pull him, so you're going to see less of him that way. But I don't think in the grand scheme of things, because like I said, those 2 scenarios, there are 2 scenarios in which Arbiter Vildred screws you, right? It's where you fail to double kill him and where you miss him, because a lot of people are running Moonlight Dreamblade with him. Some of them are running him with with Assassin Cartuja to give him that 35% evasion. So one of those scenarios is going away, which is where you fail to double kill him. The other one is not going away, where you miss him and it gives him the attack buff anyway. That one is not going away. So half and half. I'm half and half on that one. It is a good nerf. I didn't think he needed that buff. Like as soon as everybody saw that, and then immediately he went from 0 to hero, just like that. So I do like the fact that he gets the extra turn when he reses. I know it's not a true extra turn; it's 100% CR, and there are some shenanigans you can pull to get in front of him. Like Sachet, the artifact, or a faster Challenger Dominial, somebody that gets a lot of CR push when you kill him the first time could theoretically get ahead of him if he was at very low, like you let him take his turn and he was at very low CR when you killed him. So that is a potential even without the extra turn, but that will be going away, and I'm glad that's going away. So some of the other ones, ML Ball, Sage Ball, right? So his big thing is he screws you on the opener. He cuts in front of you. Your traditional CR boost, like a Ruzit or a Judith, he really gets in the way, right? So the big thing there is the nerf to how many buffs he dispels, right? So now it's 1, right? So a big thing that I see coming is now you can play Ruzit into him. Because as you know, the dispel is going to hit the left most recent buff, and that's going to be the speed buff from Ruzit. It's not going to be your immunity buff, right? So he's going to dispel the speed buff, and he's going to put Ruzit to sleep. But your other 3 members of your team that are being pushed up to cleave their team into oblivion, they're still good. They still have their immunity buff on. They're still ready to rock and roll. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. Ruzit and Judith can play back into ML Ball defenses, but that's going to be very minor change because Oxlots is already allowing you to 1-turn cleave those Sage Ball defenses. So that defense may drop a couple percentage points, but it's a good change overall because it gives you some counterplay into him, right? So Fallen Cecilia on offense now also does the same thing because now you have 2 buffs. You have the barrier and the immunity versus just the immunity. So now ML Ball can't deal with both of those buffs. What does that mean? Parado, Roman, Basar, some of the dispellers that can dispel more than 1 buff and have been since the beginning of the game. They've just been overshadowed by ML Ball's S2 push. Will be more applicable to those teams that are doing that, right? So if somebody is intentionally doing that on defense, well, they're not intentionally, but they have a Fallen Cecilia and they're all in immunity sets, then you might want to bring your Harado or your Raman into that team instead of ML Ball. Now, ML Ball is still a very good unit. It's a very good unit, especially in Guild Wars where you can only bring 3 units. It's going to be incredible, right? So, because of the CR push. That CR push is still very strong, even though it was nerfed a little bit. He's with Etika Scepter, he's still running laps like an Olympic sprinter. So that didn't go away. He's still a very potent unit. He just has some counterplay on turn 1 now, which is good. That's good. You should be able to counter the units. It shouldn't be, oh, they have X, Y, and Z on the team, I lose. Or I don't have X, Y, and Z, I lose. It shouldn't be like that. So I'm glad they created that counterplay. ML Ara changes. That's not really what her niche was, at least in PvP. I know if you just, for whatever reason, decided to walk into an ML Ara with no immunity, no cleanser, no high effect resistance, then yeah, you're going to burn to death, right? But that doesn't. I don't think that's going to change. Like if you're unprepared to deal with a unit that just applies multiple burns, and that's even normal Araminta, right? So that's not even ML Araminta thing. If you're just woefully unprepared to deal with burning to death, then you're going to burn to death. So I don't think that change actually addressed how strong or weak she is. I personally, I'm not all that worried about ML Araminta. I don't think she's all that strong standalone for what she does, right? Because as soon as Normal Raid came out, which was a couple months before, the arena season or not, the Guild Wars season started, before ML Araminta came out, and they gave us the A11, right? They gave us the Asmanus Hunt. So everybody's draped, drenched in immunity sets. She's not all that powerful, right? She's typically not built very tanky because she needs very high effect resistance to land the stun and the burns. So she's a great snowball for your one-turn cleave. She's the thing that's going to get you the extra turn when you kill her on turn one. And then she's obviously not going to stun you through immunity. She has to be paired with someone like a Dizzy with Violin or a Sage Ball or Harado, someone that can dispel, that can manipulate your team to allow her to get her abilities off. And the number one for that is the damn stun. It's the stun, and that's still going to be 100%. That really doesn't even change what her function is in Nerf. So if you have ML Araminta and you're like, man, is she still going to be good in PvP? She's still 100% going to serve the function that she already does today after the Nerf. She's the one that's not being touched. Like, I know that's the one that's like, oh, well, she's weak anyway. I'm going to trade her in. And that's perfectly fine. I agree with that sentiment, 100%. It's just that she's also probably one of the least nerfed, like in terms of changing their function in PvP. And so what I want to talk about is buffs, right? Next question is buffs, right? Biggest buffs to look for. Lulika. I already thought Lulika was okay. I would have given her a 7 or an 8. And if you don't have Bologna or a unit like that, I was going to give her a 9, right? So she's already a great unit. The buffs now make her an amazing unit in a lot of different ways. The fact that she now passively, through her S1, applies defense break, makes her, and has a stacking attack buff, gives her a lot of, and she's a high morale unit, right? So think Raid, Abyss, content like that, Automaton Tower, right? So these are some places that she's growing into, and as a defense break unit, getting a little extra percentage on her S3, she's going to have the same base S3 percentage, that 85% that Bologna has. When she doesn't proc it off for S1, or so. Great unit, just great overall unit. The attack buff is actually going to buff her barrier from her S2, and and she maybe forget because you don't want to press that button because it feels bad right now. She also gives defense buff, so she's going to be, you're going to see her a lot more. That's probably one to look for. Euphine is already very strong. She already has buffs on her S2. She already dispels or silences on her S2. She has a very high damage multiplier on her S3. I can't imagine what more buffs they're going to give her, but her kit's already loaded. Her kit is already loaded, so to me, it might be a number, it might be a multiplier, it might be adding a multiplier on her S2, maybe giving her an extra turn on her S2 if it kills somebody, and then she can just join the Oxlots meta. I can't imagine what the buffs are to Euphine, but I don't really think she needs the buff. So here's my take on that. There are a lot of units in this game that are great if immunity sets didn't exist. It's the same thing with ML Araminta. If ML Araminta could exist by herself, where you didn't need to pull another ML unit or another unit to cater to her, to allow her to do what she does, she would be viewed much better, much more highly, right? And that's the same for a lot of units, just like a Euphine, that, or remember the traditional cleave where you would, or Tenebria or a Ball and Sazan, where you would defense break the enemy team before you cleave them. You can't do that through immunity nowadays. So there's a lot of units that got pushed out of our meta that would actually be amazing in our meta if immunity sets didn't exist. And so I don't know how you deal with that besides giving everybody a dispel, right? So maybe that's what they'll put on her S1 or S3 or something like that. But I don't know what you buff for her, because buffing her isn't the problem with her, it's immunity that's the problem with her, which is the same thing with a lot of other units. Speaking of immunity, Roman is a pretty good unit now. He was a pretty good unit before. He's another one that you should keep an eye out for. That has been tremendously buffed. And especially keep an eye out for Lilibeth. Lilibeth is a unit right now. I built her. I have one at level 60. She's geared. I don't think she's geared. I think she's naked right now. There's very few scenarios where she's the number one win condition for that defense. And what I mean by that is, guys, Carmen is 25k HP. Guys, Ruel is also 25k plus HP. There's an Arbiter Vildred, and there's something else, right? Maybe there's double revive, right? Now it's an ML Ravi on the team. Double revive, Carmen, Arbiter Vildred. Even if you kill Arbiter Vildred in one turn cleave twice, if your Judge Kisei doesn't get the cooldown reduction on both the Maid Chloe, or cooldown increase on the Maid Chloe and the Ruel, you lose. Like it's just, you just lose, right? So that specific scenario I set up is like one of the only scenarios. And yes, there is some person that is using that in I want to say low legend, legend 5 or legend 6 that has a team like that. Then that's one of the only scenarios where I'm like, yes, time for Lilibeth. Every other time I'm like, yeah, I mean I could, but now I have Lilibeth for the rest of the match, and she doesn't really do anything that spectacular, right? Because you're building her to get that one turn, that kill, that guaranteed kill on that S3, get that extinction. So you're probably building her the same way you would build a Judge Kisei or Bloodblade Karen. So she has 4 to 5k attack, she has 100% crit, 300% crit damage, 250 to 300% crit damage, and no speed, right? So after that S3, after she gets pulled, does that S3, she's useless. Like she's probably going to attack one more time in the entire match, if at all, right? So it's just not. It's like ugh. So if they plan to buff her to make her relevant, I can't imagine what that's going to be, but it has to be huge. It has to be huge. There are units that I troll with, like Ricorus, whose buffs didn't really help him in the manner that it needed to, and things like that I use on a regular basis more than Lilibeth. So she really needs some major buffs here, and I hope that they're not over the top because I don't want to see her everywhere. But I do hope that there are enough where people can safely use her in the way she's designed to use, and that's to counter revive teams, right, with the extinction mechanic more reliably. Because right now, like I said, there's literally one scenario where I would use her over anything else, over like 20 different Arbiter Vildred, Ruel, Chloe composition. There's like one where I would use Lilibeth over anything else, and so that's she's failing her primary role, which is to counter the revive mechanic. What else we got here? Arena Season 3. Arena Season 3, like I said, things are going to change a little bit in terms of defensive win percentages from the buffs and nerfs I talked about. But player perception is much more important than that. So, I don't know. So for example, like the Carmen nerf. Carmen's still a top 2 tank. You should still see her in everybody's defense. But there are going to be some people that trade in emotionally, right? Oh, nerf means terrible, or nerf means I can't play it anymore. Or if she's not the best unit, well, I don't want it anymore, right? So you're going to get a lot of emotional recalls and roster changes. So things are going to actually be a lot more volatile than you think it is, even though the nerfs aren't that great on defense, right? So, and I'm speaking as somebody that typically floats between high champion and low legend, somewhere between champion 1 and legend 5 throughout the week. So, I just so for me particularly, I get attacked by 2 teams. I get attacked by Tamarin, Assaria, Cleve teams. to break through because I run a stall team, and I get attacked by people trying me with their Oxlot cleave. Now there's some that are successful, most of them aren't. I made my Dizzy a little tankier, not a little tankier. I made her a whole lot tankier. So there's no soft target on my team. So those people that already are cleaving me, if they want to bring Ruzit or Judith, congratulations. With the ML Ball Nurse, okay, cool. But they were already cleaving me anyway. So it's not actually going to change my defensive win rate. It's like, is there a person out there that can't cleave me that will be able to cleave me with their Ruzit? Maybe, probably. Okay, one person, two people, 5 people, 10, who knows, right? But that's not everybody, because I'm already losing to what I'm losing to, and I'm okay with that. I've made it so that my team loses to specific comps or specific people, and I'm okay losing to those people. And now it's up to me to farm as much Wyvern as I can. I have a good chunk of energy up there, and I have a lot of leaves. So that's what I'm gonna get to as soon as it's over. And so I need to adjust my gear. I need to make my gear better. I need to have higher effect resistance to resist Assyria S3, right? So their DPS can't nuke me on turn 1. Those are the things I need to improve on. It's not a unit. It's not a roster change. It's not the nerfs or buffs. It's my gear. I've already nailed what my comp needs to be. I'm comfortable with my units, even though I don't have a single ML 5-star, and I just need to work on my gear. And I imagine that's the same for a lot of people, except the people at the very top. If you're thinking a specific ML 5-star is just going to completely change your world, that's not right. And I will throw these shout outs out there. There are 2 people that I regularly trade blows with in Legend every single week, and that's Karura Black and it's Trit. And both of them have what I call vanilla defenses. It's the same defense I ran prior to Season 2 starting. It was Craw, Angelica, and then XX, where XX is like a boozer like Ken or Ravi, Corvus now, or an assassin Cartusia, and then maybe a second healer like a shooting star Agates or a Deanne, something like that. I call those vanilla because there's no Carmen, there's no Ruel, there's no Fallen Cecilius, nothing. And I imagine they're in the same boat I am, where we just don't have the units. We just don't have them. But we're still in Legend every week, and it's because our gear is Legend quality gear. Our teams are tanky enough. They have high enough effect resistance. They're fast enough. Even though we're not designed to go first, we're not 120, 130 speed, 0 speed units. We have good substats, right? So, you're going to get surprised. You pop in and you see my Carmen at XXX speed. I'm not going to give that away. And things like that. So the gear is the most important thing. So Season 3, yeah, there's going to be some emotional changes in some rosters, right? And that is what it is. There's community perception. Everybody's out there with their pitchforks all the time. So, and if you're listening to the echo chamber of Salt and Tears on Reddit or on Discord, and that's what sways you instead of sitting down and doing the math yourself and looking at your own roster, looking at your own gear, then yeah, you may trade in your Carmen for nothing. You may trade in your Carmen when that's what you need, or you may trade in your ML Ball or your MLR when that's what you need. Or there was no reason to do that. Or you traded in for something that you thought was better, but you don't actually have the rest of the team or the setup to put that better unit on the pedestal it needs to be on to be successful, right? So that's all I got for now. Thank you for tuning in. I will have some timestamps and whatnot in the description, so you can jump around. If you're just here for the Q&A, that's great. If you want to see the summon session earlier, that's great as well. Thank you, and tune in next time. Peace.